This past Monday on WWE Raw, another layer was pulled from the Uncle Howdy Wyatt 6 saga, and I'm here to talk about it. Let's talk about it. But before we get into that, I'm Rob, the Wrestling Old Head, and you are in the portal of pro wrestling, all the time. So let's talk about Bo Dallas or Taylor Wyndham and the Wyatt 6. This past Monday on WWE Raw, Chad Gable, after qualifying for the Money in the Bank, was interrupted with the lights jewing. Not jewing. You know what I mean. The sound effects was coming on. The lights were going off. And Chad Gable was in the ring, and then all of a sudden the smoke started to come in, and Nikki Cross showed up in her Sister Abigail regalia and scared the bejesus out of Chad Gable. He ran to the back, and Nikki Cross handed Michael Cole a box that was labeled for Pat McAfee, who was not at Raw. And then subsequently later on in the show, Michael Cole opened the box, revealing a VHS tape. I remember VHS tapes well because I was an old school tape collector. How many of you are old school tape collectors? Let me know in the comments. But I was an old school tape collector. I know VHS very well. I'm sure not a lot of people know VHS, and I'm surprised they even had a VHS player on site, a VCR on site in the back for the ability to play this video. And what we did see in the video was a clip of Uncle Howdy in what looked like a therapy session, very similar to the therapy session that was released via QR code not too long ago, a few months back, where the therapist went missing. This was a very similar style, and instead of Uncle Howdy talking to a therapist, he was actually talking to Bo Dallas, who is the man behind the mask, essentially, for Uncle Howdy. Very interesting, very well shot. The emotion pouring out of Bo Dallas, and I'm really not sure if I should call him Bo Dallas anymore or if I should start calling him Taylor Wyndham, because that is who we saw in this clip, this promo, this vignette. It was Taylor Wyndham because he was talking about his brother. He was talking about the loss, and he was channeling the emotion, and he was captivating in every frame, every single frame. He was captivating. And this could go a lot of ways. I know that there were a lot of people talking about the supernatural, spooky aspect of, and me, I have a very adjustable palette for professional wrestling. I like the goofy, I like the dramatic, I like the comedy, I like the over the top, the supernatural, the spooky, all that. But I also like the pro side of professional wrestling, the sports aspect, and the action in the ring, and all. It doesn't always have to be a story. My palette can be adjustable. I grew up with a lot of wrestling, but I know that a lot of fans like it a certain way, and they only want it a certain way. And maybe this type of vignette and this type of catharsis and openness from Taylor Wyndham might be a little hard to swallow for certain wrestling fans, but I liked it, and I liked the way this might be heading. So I'm here to theorize where this might be heading. What I would like to see is subsequent VHS tapes get dropped off in some way or another via QR code or whatever, where the other members of the Wyatt 6 get similar treatment. The conversations with Uncle Howdy, where they're crying, where they're being vulnerable, and where they're letting you know that they were thrown away and forgotten about, and now is their time to be remembered. I think it would be ultimately the best way to introduce these characters to the wide audience so they don't have to do much research. I like when the WWE puts it in front of us and tells the story for us. It makes a better anthology. It makes it a better package to roll out. Everything is there, and we get to see the story unfold, and we don't have to do much homework as the viewer. But for the sake of this video, I did a little bit of homework. Why would we see these vignettes from all of these other wrestlers aside from the backstory of why they're in this position, and what would their backstory be? Eric Rowan, pretty easy backstory. We know that he's been attached to the early OG Wyatt family. Brody Lee, aka Luke Harper, rest in peace. Bray Wyatt, rest in peace. He has lost family. And in losing family, he has also found himself to be lost and forgotten about. This is an easy one. This one could be the next one they show, essentially, where he's sitting there and he's talking about how the only thing that he has is the memories. And you know, I mean, look, they could write it the way they would want to write it, but I think the story is right there to be told for Eric Rowan in a very captivating way. But now the other players in the Wyatt Six. What about Nikki Cross? The last time we saw Nikki Cross, she was doing the trance. It was bizarre. And before that, she was in a group called Sanity with Eric Young, Nikki's real-life husband, Damo, and Alexander Wolf. Now, those guys are no longer with the WWE. They were all released except for her. And I don't remember if I'm sure about this, but they called themselves a family, I believe. They were a weird family, but they were a family nonetheless. So the closest ties other than the Sanity group would be to Alexa Bliss. Now, we talked about Alexa Bliss in the video that I'm going to put up here. And she was involved with The Fiend and Bray. So the association with Bray is actually what broke up Bliss and Cross's tag team, if you remember correctly. So that's a very close association. She lost her family. She lost someone that she cared about, a friend, and she was searching for herself again and found herself in this family of forgotten toys. You know, these forgotten wrestlers. Seems like everybody had forgotten them. The pictures in the frame in the Polaroid were disappearing like something out of Back to the Future 2. And she is now finding herself again. These broken toys are like AEW. This is the story of AEW. No, I'm totally kidding. Totally kidding. I'm pro wrestling, pro AEW, pro WWE, pro wrestling here. But I thought it would be funny because they are, you know, it's a very similar story here. I mean, and you know, if you dig deep enough and pull it out. But anyways, let's get back to it. So Nikki Cross got an easy story to tell. Her sitting across from Uncle Howdy as Uncle Howdy is getting the truth out of Nikki Cross. You can see all of the story there being threaded together nicely to get to the Wyatt Six. Another one would be Dexter Lumis. This one a little bit harder to crack here because Dexter Lumis, he used to do this weird crawl thing and he had kidnapped a lot of people. And, you know, I think he married himself into the Way stable in NXT, which was Johnny Gargano, Candice LeRae, and Indy Hartwell, if I'm not mistaken. He returned and then he stalked and kidnapped The Miz. The Way still was recognized with Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae as a tag team to this day, and DIY, which is Gargano and his friend Ciampa. But they have totally forgotten about Dexter. He disappeared and no one even blinked. The Way referred to themselves as a family as well, and Gargano and LeRae are married, and they treated Indy in theory like their kids. So right before this trance thing, you got to see Dexter Lumis actually marry Indy Hartwell. And then, so that's a relationship. I don't know if they're even able to bring that back up, but in the story here, Indy Hartwell is married to Dexter Lumis, and he has seemed to be forgotten and with no mention at all. So that's something that they can bring up as well. And sitting across from Uncle Howdy and actually talking for the first time since he said the words "I do" would be an interesting layer into Dexter Lumis joining the Wyatt Six, actually speaking for the first time. Which is why if they do the vignettes where they're all sitting across from Uncle Howdy, then I believe they should save that one for last. Joe Gacy was a part of a group called the Schism in NXT with the grizzled young veterans who are no longer a part of the WWE, and Ava Raine, aka NXT's GM and The Rock's daughter. They were a cult-like group. And everybody knows this is no secret. Gacy's influence was heavy in Bray Wyatt isms. He was like the second coming of a Bray Wyatt type of character. So this one is easy. His character went nuts, hiding under the ring and stalking Dijak and Shawn Spears, and they considered themselves a family. The Schism did anyways as well. So he lost his family. So each member of the Wyatt Six had some issues with loss of family. This is how this all ties in, and it would also explain why Chad Gable is actually one of their first victims of a brutal attack because of what he is doing to the family that he has in the with Maxine and Otis and Akira Tozawa. It makes total sense right here. The Alpha Academy and what he's doing would be one of the reasons why they have targeted him and why they would target other members of the WWE roster that have treated their family poorly. I think it's a really interesting way to bring the Wyatt Six out and to use their stable as a healing of sorts for those that have been lost or forgotten about. So I personally think that they should go this route with the vignettes. It will establish these characters. It will establish and give you an emotional involvement and development for these new versions and iterations of Nikki Cross, Dexter Lumis, and Joe Gacy, and even Eric Rowan going forward to get him refreshed in the eyes of the WWE Universe. But what do you guys think? Is this the route that they should go with the Wyatt Six going forward? Is Bo Dallas going to be Bo Dallas, Uncle Howdy, or are they going to call him Taylor Wyndham? And their mission statement, is it to heal those who have been hurt by their families? You guys let me know in the comments. Go ahead and drop a thumbs up on the way out. So much to come going forward in the portal of pro wrestling to talk about, and I'm so excited to share it with you all. Thank you again, because I couldn't have done this without you all, folks. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for telling friends. And we're going to keep this going. And as always, stay united, wrestling fans, and we'll see you real soon.